What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C4, and today this is kind of a follow-up video to a Top 10 Tuesday video where I talked about the top 10 potential free agents Philadelphia could go on after this year. And one guy I didn't actually talk about is Alshon Jeffery. That's pretty much going to be the topic of this video. It's not going to be a whole, here's a list of guys we could go after, because, really that list that I made in the early video, which if you haven't checked out, go do that now, pretty much stays the same. A couple guys have got re-signed, but for the most part, looking at this year's free agency period, especially for Eagles fans, it's going to be, are we going to try to make a big move and land Alshon Jeffery, or are we just going to, stay off to the side and let someone else overpay for him? So what I did was I went ahead for you guys and did the pros and cons of getting Alshon Jeffery, and I will start off by saying, of course, adding Alshon Jeffery to the Philadelphia Eagles would be not only excellent to this offense, giving Carson Wentz a legit wide receiver 1, so that would give him a legit wide receiver 1 and a very good wide receiver 2 in Jordan Matthews, and then that wide receiver 3 spot fighting between DGB and Nelson Agholor. I mean, that is a good wide receiver core. But there are some things that you need to consider. But we will start with the pros. We'll do a pro and then a con. Pro, con, 1, 2. No, fuck it. We'll do all the pros first, and then we'll go to the cons. So we're starting with the first pro. He only has 14 drop passes in his entire career. So this is going on by the time Philly gets him a 5-year career. 14 drop passes. That is about as many passes as the Eagles drop in a goddamn game. And realistically, not even trying to embellish it. 14 drop passes. That is probably a 3 to 4 game span for this Philadelphia Eagles. So he is one of the most sure-handed wide receivers in the NFL, and that alone should have all Eagle fans drooling at the mouth at the opportunity to go out and sign this guy. Because let's be honest, first of all, Alshon Jeffery, he's not re-signing with Chicago. Chicago is a team that's certainly getting ready for a rebuild. They don't have a lot of promising players at quarterback, especially. I think the time has kind of worn out with Jay Cutler for Alshon Jeffery, so I think he is definitely on his way out to the highest bidder. So on top of the 14 drop passes only in his career, he's 6'4", 230 pounds, going to be 27 years old. So I mean, he's definitely just entering into his prime. Wide receivers are good for probably, I'd say wide receiver prime is like 24 to 28, 29. So we'd definitely be able to get him on like a 4-year deal, which would be expensive, which we'll get to in the cons. But I think he definitely still has a lot of tread left on the tire. Here's our stats. 2013, 89 receptions, 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, Pro Bowl appearance. 2014, 85 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 10 touchdowns. And in 2015, in only 8 starts, 54 receptions, 800 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So almost 100 yards a game last year in 2015. And here in 2016, thus far, he is going to be definitely on pace for another 1,000-yard season. So, I mean, he is a bona fide wide receiver 1 in this game, and those don't grow on trees unless you're lucky enough to find a diamond in the rough like Stephon Diggs, who for the trillionth time I'll mention, I called him to be a stud in this league. It's very tough to get a starting elite wide receiver, so it's not every now and again when a guy like Alshon hits the free agency market. So it's going to take the last point in the pros, an aggressive GM to go out and get Alshon Jeffery. And when it comes to aggressive GMs, as much as we kind of rip on Howie for not being a football guy, I honestly can't think of a more aggressive general manager in the NFL. He could be attracted to play with Carson Wentz, especially if Carson Wentz continues to develop and becomes the next big thing at the quarterback position. Because let's be honest, as much as we want to inflate and pump up Carson Wentz, he has to be, even if you're just trying to make a light prediction, the favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's such a, really early into the season, but, even if I was an unbiased unbiased fan that's not a fan of the Eagles, I'd say, Wentz is looking like a Rookie of the Year. Usually they give Rookie of the Year to the best quarterback if there was one taken, and Wentz stats definitely are outplaying, Jared Goff, don't worry about that. Dak Prescott, Romo's coming back. So realistically, he's going to have to beat out probably Ezekiel Elliott, and when push comes to shove, the quarterback always wins over the running back. So with Alshon Jeffery coming to Philadelphia, debatably bigger market than the Chicago Bears. Definitely a lot more playing time because they're a team that's on the up. More primetime games, better for his stock, better for his brand. Then you also got upcoming quarterback, phenomenal defense to play with. I think realistically looking at other teams that could make a play for him, the only thing that sucks is I think the other big team is going to be the Los Angeles Rams, and everyone hypes up the market. LA debatably is the best market to play in, but who's the fucking quarterback there? Do you want to go play with essentially, if Goff looks like they're going to fucking let Case Keenum play the entire season, are you going to want to roll with Jared Goff as your quarterback or go with a proven commodity? Hopefully he stays healthy in Carson Wentz. Knock on wood. I think that's actually a no-brainer for Alshon if it comes between the Philadelphia Eagles and the LA Rams. You got to go Eagles. Now the cons of getting Alshon Jeffery. One, he's an injury risk. He's Mr. Questionable. I've had Alshon Jeffery for the last 2 years in fantasy, and he's questionable every single week. He's missed 10 games in the last 3 years, which is not horrific, but certainly for a guy that you may have to end up paying franchise player money. 10 misses is not ideal. Not exactly where you'd want your star wide receiver to be sitting at. Of course, you want him to play all the games. Also, he won't be cheap. Looking at all the contracts, he's not going to get, top wide receiver money, but he's definitely going to get, top 10, top 8 wide receiver money. So that's going to be roughly $11 to $13 million a year, judging off of what guys like Doug Baldwin just got signed. He's not going to get, Hopkins, Julio, AB money, but he's going to be right around there. So $11 to $13 million, probably closer to 13 is what he is going to get. And unless Jason Peters retires, looking at the Eagles salary cap, Eagles roughly right now have $7 million of cap heading into next season. You could probably inflate that to maybe 8 with the salary cap. It continues to rise. But, to make a move like this, aggressive GM like Howie, we're going to have to, unfortunately cut some fat. So here's some guys and a likelihood that they may get cut. So Jason Peters, $9.2 million against the cap. I think 9 out of 10, he'll probably hang him up after this season. I think this might be his last go. And if they do decide to keep him, he'd be at a much cheaper rate. They're not going to keep an aging Jason Peters, even though he's looked great to start the 2016 season. Keeping an aging Jason Peters at almost $10 million a year, that's not happening. So you can pretty much write that off the book. So then that there would give us enough cap to get Alshon. But then we also want to get back Benny, and we're going to have to get some more room. So get Connor Barwin at almost $8 million a year. I think, he's a rotational D lineman now. He's getting up there in age. He's almost $8 million against the cap. I think probably about a 6 out of 10. I don't know, how personally Jim Schwartz feels about him. If Jim really likes him, they'll probably hold on to him. But I think Barwin's a guy that's definitely a fringe player that they can look at cutting, especially if they know they have a shot at getting an elite wide receiver in Alshon Jeffery. Jason Kelsey, who's $4 million against the cap. I say 5 out of 10. It seems like Doug Peterson's a big fan of Kelsey, but Kelsey's play has definitely regressed. And for a center making, he's one of the higher paid centers in the NFL. I could see them potentially cutting him. And then the sad one of this whole list is Darren Sproles at $4 million. He's going to be, 33. We got other running backs in the mix. I think, they might bring him back. I'd like to see him back. I really would like Darren Sproles to finish as an Eagle. But, given his age and his cap and, how much depth we have at the running back position, I'd probably give this a 7 out of 10 that Sproles is gone. Then you also got Ryan Matthews, $4 million against the cap as well. One of these guys is definitely going. So I think in combination between Peters and one of these running backs, we'll definitely have enough cap if we're just looking at signing Alshon. I think Matthews is probably gone. I'd say 8 out of 10 that Ryan Matthews won't be returning next season. So those are guys that can potentially unload it to free up cap space to sign Alshon. But in a dream world, we can both get all Alshon and re-sign Benny Logan. It sucks because we waited so long to get Sam Bradford gone. We got 5.5 dead cap next year because of Sam Bradford. But definitely there is, potential for the Eagles to make a play in Alshon Jeffery. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think the Eagles legit have a shot to get Alshon? I'd say push comes to shove, gun to my head, make a call. I'm going to say Eagles probably won't get Alshon. But, you never know with Howie Roseman. Seeing that wide receiver is a position of need, we don't have a clear-cut franchise wide receiver, and there's one on the market, you can never fucking count Howie Roseman out. That does it for today, guys. As always, if you're new to the channel, plenty of Eagles content here. So subscribe, why don't you? Smash that like button, and until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out.